good, y'all? It's your boy Yatta.
It's your boy Sam.
And you tuned in to another episode of the Envelope Pushers. You want to tell me
Yes,
what the Envelope
sir.
Pusher is?
Yes, sir. I got you. New definition too. Um, to attempt to extend the current limits of performance or to innovate or go beyond commonly accepted boundaries. I like that one.
Me
That
too,
one's from
me
the
too.
UK. That one's from the UK.
Bet I like that one. All
Thanks.
right, so this episode, right? We on here with the sister Ashley, and she has a podcast called The Point Is.
Yes. I
Real
like that
great
name.
podcast. Yeah, that's a good one.
I like that
But
one.
yeah, she got a real great podcast. Like we came together because our podcasts were kind of similar. We both, we love black people, right? We love black wealth, so it was only destined, right?
It was only right, man. It's only right. We
Right.
happy to have you. We happy to have you, Ashley.
Thank you. Thank you.
Facts. All right, so do you want to lead us on our first question?
Yes. So our topic for today is Black unity and Black families as well.
Yes.
Society.
Yes.
And so I wanted to know from the both of you, do you both feel that as a people we are unified, and why or why
Kenyatta, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go
This is
first.
flowing, man.
So, man, I want to say, like, as a whole, I mean, obviously, we have a long way to go, and right now, yeah, there's not a lot of. I mean, there is unity, but not like a lot of it. And what I mean by that is, we may have some unity, like we may be cool with one another, but we still don't have that like code. You know what I'm saying? Like we still haven't really followed like the Powernomics program, right? Like even when it comes to economics, there is some black people succeeding in economics, but there's just a lot that aren't. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's a lot of outliers when it comes to the aspects of our unity, I guess is what I'm saying. Like the median is far behind, right? Because we have a lot and we got people who just aren't on it at all. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I would answer that question. How about you,
Oh
Sam?
yeah. Oh yeah. And I know you can get way deeper than that one, but
Yeah, I will. I'm thinking. I'm thinking.
yeah, I'm gonna let you think. But
we're gonna let you slide.
for me personally, and I think we touched on this a couple episodes ago too.
Yeah.
Just how like the paradigm is shifting, man. And I feel it. I
Facts.
would say, we're not as unified as I would like it. How, like you said, there's a code that I feel like other races do have. Um, we go for the Asian community, Asian American community. I seen somebody, they bought some guns and now they trying to kind of police themselves because of what happened recently in the news,
Yeah.
on which I'm pretty sure all of us saw or either heard about. But even stuff like that, I know a lot of people talk about policing our own communities, and we don't kind of have that yet, and because we're not so unified, and there's so many different things that split us up that keep us divided. One is economics, and then religion is another big one,
Facts.
and just white supremacy too. And I'm not going, it doesn't all fall on one thing because it's just multiple things that come together to kind of break up the black family because it's been happening for centuries. And so it's not all going to come at once, and I don't want to step on any of the further topics we have, but it's getting there, but we need more of it, if that makes sense. And I think we're slowly working on it piece by piece, but we haven't seen it fully yet.
Yeah. Facts. Like definitely what you said, right? The paradigm is shifting because I feel like even unity is almost becoming a trend, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all know like Black World Order, right? Brother 19 Keys. I think Derek Grace is a part of that too. But I feel like there definitely is starting to become a trend where it's like, yo, this making money together stuff is cool, right?
Yeah.
This black women and black men coming together stuff is cool.
Yeah.
You feel me? So like definitely the paradigm is starting to shift. But of course, there's just not enough of it. You know what I'm saying? Because there's definitely like a lot of sisters that aren't being protected. You know what I'm saying? And just there's so much more we could do, especially with our spending power, right? We have
Mm-hmm.
$1.3 trillion of spending power, but nothing to show for it. You know what I'm
Facts.
saying? Like Malcolm X, I'm gonna paraphrase. I don't maybe have the whole quote memorized, but he was basically saying like go to the Japanese community or the Jewish community and you'll see like their businesses there, right? They got these stuff straight. But go to the Negro community and you'll see every business there but your own, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of what's going on today, you know.
That's facts. And there's a
Yeah,
large push, but I want to hear from Ashley as well too.
yeah, for sure.
How you feel about it? So it's just not us talking, because I know we can get
Yeah.
into a flow and
Oh no,
whatnot.
you good. So kind of like you guys seem to be like in the middle with it. I will say, like you guys said, there has been a tremendous amount of progress made, in my opinion, as far as just um, unifying without second guessing it. Because the biggest thing in a lot of the books that I've read, Dr. Claude Anderson speaks on this, is trust. Black people don't trust nobody, let alone each other.
That is
For
no cap. That's facts.
that is a
Facts.
fact. So just for, and then we have facts to back up why. You know, we have
Mhm.
actual reasons why. So it's not just made up in our head. So to just have us three come together is powerful. And
Yeah.
that, and then I also have seen other platforms where there has been women and men getting along, you know, having a discussion, not a debate of, because I can't stand the gender war, but we'll get into that.
Ah, yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so I feel like irregardless of the vaccine and COVID allegedly taking us out as a people, I think this is the most that we have come together since like the 60s. I think.
Oh yeah.
I
Facts.
think this is
I can see that too.
another,
I can see that.
like you said, a paradigm shift. I feel like it's another revolution for real. Like all of us of all ages, we have people. I mean, I don't want to get children too involved, but I'll say the youngest up to like 16. You know, outside doing stuff. We just
Hmm.
had a brother talking to Roland Martin, who's 21, and he already has a school. So,
Yeah, I
and
seen
he
that.
had it for
That's what's
years.
up. Congrats.
I seen
Exactly.
that.
So I think, you know, like they always preach to us growing up, the children are the future, and I think we definitely have lived up to that quote.
Yeah.
For sure. The honorable Louis Farrakhan always says a youthless movement is a useless movement. You
Yeah.
feel me? Like we definitely got to get the youth on board too, right? That's where it starts.
And I think I seen something like a little article basically talking about, and I don't not bashing nobody's religion or anything or whatever you subscribe to, but
Yep.
basically it was talking about the decline of attendance in churches,
Yeah.
and how young people are gravitating and not going to churches because they see kind of the overlap in religion and stuff like that. So and I brought that up because I know, like I said earlier, religion is a big thing that divides us. And if we're getting money together, we're making progress together. Religion shouldn't be able to divide us, for one, and then especially money, because according to a lot of articles, the black wealth is going to be zero. And we keep bringing up them stats.
Right.
We
By
keep bringing up
2053.
our spending power because this is huge. Like 2050, like it's down the road. Like your kids going to be affected. You
Yeah.
might not be directly, 52, whatever your age is. I'll be like 53, but your kids going to be affected. The following generation is going to be affected. So I'm going to keep bringing that up. So, yeah.
And 53 is young, you know, like that's
Yeah.
Right.
not social security age, which I doubt we're gonna get. But
Yeah, they said we're not even supposed to get Social
yeah, we're
Security.
not
Yeah,
even gonna
right.
get it. So us 90s babies, we need to figure that out.
No
We gotta
cap.
get
Facts,
that
right?
thinking, yeah.
And
And I think
like we both, oh my bad, my bad.
no, you good.
I was gonna say, and like we both talk about, right? The way to figure that out, right, is just financial literacy. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Like, start create a Roth IRA or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, try to figure out your own retirement plan, right?
Yeah,
facts.
like do
Yup,
for self. You gotta do for self. Can't wait for
exactly.
someone else to do it for you.
Shoot, we can get into this. Next question.
All
Yeah,
right. So what is the family structure? Just baseline. What is the importance of a family structure?
Porns. You want to start out with this one, Sam?
I can. Well, it's crazy to talk about the importance. Something. This is not supposed to be a sad moment or my personal information, but I grew up without a father. That's sometimes the kick line, the punchline for black folks, whatever, the little stereotype. But I did grow up without a father. But the importance of family, I know, is an incredible support system that I know a lot of people don't have. And what ends up making poor decisions and stuff like that. But I would say support is one of the biggest reasons why family is so important. I had a great support system, regardless if my dad was there or not. But my mom, my grandma, my aunties, my uncles, all great people who supported me through everything and pushed me to where I'm at now. And also to keep my head on straight. Since I didn't grow up without a father, a lot of times it would be, yo, you got to be the man of the house. You got to be the man of the house. You got to take care of your moms. You got to take care of your brother. And that started at a super young age, where I'm at home in fourth grade watching three of my younger brothers are in fifth grade, where I'm waking them up to go to school so I can go to school on the same elementary bus down the block. It's literally it's like that. But since they were there supporting me the whole time, like even my mom, like she knew it was rough and I knew it was rough for her. So, you know, I would always be there for her. And then any dreams or anything that I set my mind to, even little stuff like, I'm not gonna say little because this is a big impact, but stuff like the podcast, she supports me 100%. She reposts all my stuff. She knows that this is something beneficial. It's something that's keeping me out of trouble. Not saying that I need to stay out of trouble or anything like that, but I'm here and they're supporting me. My youngest brother supporting me. Me and Kenyatta post everything on Facebook. Anytime our episodes drop and the family's in there, they commenting on the YouTube video. So support is a big one.
Facts. Yeah, I'd say the same thing. Like, I mean, my situation was tricky. Like, I mean, my father was around, but he struggled with like addiction and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So he was around, but like not always. But I had other people stepping up that were like supporting me as well. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's also important to think about his family. Like, I learned this in developmental psychology. Like, the family structure, especially having a mother and the father, right? It is important to our like develop mental stages, right, as a child, but it doesn't necessarily have to be like the biological, right? Because you can have biological parents that can mess you up more mentally than without having parents, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like even the way we think of family, like Sam said, it's about just the support. You know what I'm saying? Just having people that support you. And then it's also, I mean, it's even better if they're related to you, right? Because there's always that connection, right? Whether you family, right, blood or not, whether your families are close, like it's just different. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's definitely what I think the importance of a family structure is just that like support, you know, as you're going through life, especially in developmental stages. Because as we get older, I'm not gonna say I don't know. I want to say it doesn't matter as much because as a child you're like really like delicate. Like you can go through something as a child, and
Impressionable.
yeah, and it can scar you for life. And you can go through that same thing as an adult, and it might not affect you mentally because your brain is developed and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I kind of agree with Sam on that. That's really the biggest like importance of the family structure is just having that support system.
Yeah, and I just wanted to give a quote too for like how you mentioned like you have to rethink what the family structure is
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, but I do want to keep it, you know, father, mother, and child, but also it takes a village to raise a child. That's like
Facts.
the old little quote and little saying, and it's true. It takes a village to raise a child oftentimes, and that's why we need groups and come together as one. That goes back to our last topic, but
Yo,
yeah.
for sure.
I definitely agree with that. So I'm gonna touch a little bit just on my parents. So I grew up in a two-parent household, but their experiences as children was different. My mother, I always say she has like a piece of a family. Like her father passed away when she was like 3, and then it was just her mom and then her sister. But like the neighborhood, the block she's from, like those people are basically family. Like those are her aunties, that's her grandma. You know, but if you want to be technical, they're
Oh
not
yeah.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
all got them. We all got a couple aunties,
exactly.
uncles
So
that's
like,
not blood, a couple cousins.
yeah,
Facts,
they my
facts.
sister. So like, if you want to get
If you know, you know.
but
Yeah.
it's not real, you know. So that's her family, which they're, I mean, just so close, right?
Hmm.
And then my father's family is not as close. He grew up in a two-parent household and it's not as close. So like you said, like you can have both parents and it can be, you know, different. You can have just one parent and then you'll be fine as long as you have that village. And then for me, I think it is important, but I don't know if it's just because I'm a woman, but I think
Hmm.
it is very important to have your father. I just can tell by just conversations that I've had with other women that don't have their father in life, and the conversation is different. Even if they have a piece together family, even if they have, you have know who their parents are, they know who their dad is, but they're not together, whatever the case, it is completely different. I don't know the science behind it, the psychology behind that, but it's definitely different. It makes an impact.
Facts. Like, I mean, this is kind of like a stereotype where sometimes people say things like, you ever grow up as a kid and there's like a kid that's kind of like messing around, doing bad things, whatever, and you might hear that, oh, his father wasn't around. or
Yeah.
something like that. You know what I
A
mean?
little
So yeah,
stereotype. Yeah.
you know what I mean? But it, like, and then when you go to development psychology, you know, it's definitely important to like the mother and the father, right? To be in the child's life. You know what I mean? It's very important. And not everybody that doesn't grow up with one, obviously, is not going to like not have the proper mind when they get older, you know what I'm saying? But like psychologically it's definitely important, right? And you know, not having that sometimes, some cases, right, can harm you later on.
Yeah. But I'm seeing a trend too. I'm not, I don't know the whole world, but I am starting to notice, people are trying to be in their kids' lives, especially fathers now, since, they grew up without a father. I know that's a big thing on me. Since I grew up without one, I know what type of, psychological things you can be fighting with, being raised by your mother and your aunties, and your uncle might come around sometimes. So that's kind of the only male figure that you have. And I go.
We back from a little commercial break, you know what I'm saying? But you know, back to what Sam Leek was saying. So you said there's like a trend with like fathers coming back and trying to be good, fathers to their kids and all that, right?
Yeah. So me personally, from people that I've been around, it's a big, like, it's not so much talked about, outspokenly and stuff like that, but folks are talking about, being in their kids' lives and want to be in their kids' life because, for one, they didn't have a dad in their lives, so they want to kind of make up for that missing piece that they may have in their life. So I do notice that, and I know it's kind of a stereotype too that dads, black dads aren't in children's lives, or black dads aren't part of the black family. But of course, we know a lot of barriers and a lot of obstacles are set in place to actually keep them out of black families and keep the black families separated. But I do want to highlight those people who are planning, to stay within their family and take care of their kids.
Facts. And to kind of go off that point too, like, yeah, a lot of people like don't really realize how much, like, I mean, the black family as a whole, they've tried to separate. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's been their agenda from day one, right?
Day
Because,
one, right once you
right,
stepped off that boat.
because as soon as they were finding out, because if you think about it, right, with marriage, right, we didn't really start seeing like the stuff we're talking about now with like parents absent in their child's lives. Like, it happened, but we didn't start seeing it big until like the 70s. You know what I'm saying? But even during slavery, we was still marrying each other. We was still jumping the broom. You know what I'm saying? That didn't stop us from getting married. So we got to think what really happened, right? Because the family structure was strong like during Reconstruction, Jim Crow era. That was probably when it was at its strongest, you
Yeah.
know? But then they started figuring out, right, like the black families, they were funding like, the civil rights movement or the black church, right?
Yeah.
The Nation of Islam, right? Black families were the foundation of those, right? You know what I'm saying? And especially economically, because we were able to have our own businesses, have our own. I mean, people wanted to be in churches and stuff like that, or like, I don't know, just community places. Like, that couldn't have been possible without the black family and us just being organized.
That's
You feel
facts.
me? Right. So that's also important too. There's a long history with that.
So do you think that the war on drugs had a big impact as far as like fathers and even mothers being, addicted to drugs and being out of the household?
Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, because 70s, right? That's when that happened. But then you go into the
Right,
80s, that's when crack hit. You know what I'm
right.
saying? So they put
But the
crack into the communities.
community,
Yeah, facts. And obviously we were going through hard times. So, and because we're going through hard times, right? They introduced this drug in our community, and it's either you gonna sell it to make some money, or you stressed out and you might use it, right? And
Exactly.
that's kind of what it came to. And both of those outlets got us in prison, right? It messes up the family, and then we have the war on drugs after that. So they put the crack into the community, and then here comes the crime bill. You get what I'm saying? Where I believe it was more punishable to be caught with crack than cocaine. And like, we know who really is with the cocaine and who was doing crack at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, a
And
lot of
who's
white
letting
people.
it in?
You know what I'm saying? Even still to today, right? It's kind of like a thing people be saying, like the white people are big on the cocaine.
Yeah.
You feel me? But you got more time for getting caught with crack than cocaine, so we knew who they were targeting. Feel
Yeah.
me?
And they would purposely and push it in there and use FBI agents and informants to infiltrate, like they do a lot of times, to put this stuff in there. And we talked about a little bit in Judas and the Black Messiah episode on how what's his name, Williams came with bombs with C4.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how you even get that? And that's kind of the
Why
same.
it's in the trunk? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, even with the guns in our community, you know, not saying that we see how easy it is to get a gun and, you know, use it in the United States, but even the guns at the time, like military grade weapons that we get in our hands on somehow, and, you know, we just trying to make $1. You know, they squeeze every dollar out of us and then forced us to look for another way to make money. And we're not going to hire you because your name is Jerome, and we're not going to accept you because you got an afro, and we're not accepting folks with afros in here. And
Right.
you live in this area and we're not accepting you. We're not letting you into our schools. So you're not going to get a great education. We're going to put a whole bunch of barriers to get inside a school that ultimately prevent you from going or even wanting to go. So you're not going to get a well-paying job or the American dream. So what are you going to do to make that money? And, you know, as men, of course, we're looked at to be the providers and the protectors. So what are you going to do when you can't put nothing on your children's plate, or when a Black woman is looking at you for protection and to provide, and you can't do nothing because it's hella barriers? And I'm not going to put it all on the system, but we know that it plays a large part, especially in society, and especially in America, and I know around the world too. Black people are still suffering the same things that we're going through as well. But what are you gonna do? That was the big question, and it's real calculated. Like, the other side, they get sick with how calculated they are to keep us from coming together, and we know why, because we're so powerful together, especially the Black man and the Black woman. We're so powerful together. I know Black women, they at the top right now, especially when it comes to just education and grinding. Something new every week. You know, they set the trend for a lot of stuff, even hip hop and music. So just look at all the steps that they take to separate the family. It's crazy.
Facts.
even like, let's look at like why that is. Like, why are Black women like the number one in the country in education? It's like, it's not necessarily forced upon us, but there's a reason for it, because now it's like a power dynamic. So now, and we're going to go into like dating spaces. Now we have this big head of ours, and we're like, oh, we want someone that has the equivalent. And it's like not taking into account all the systemic factors that answer your question as to why he can't actually get to the equivalent. Not saying he can't, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even with that, like, you have to question that. Like, why are you so forthcoming with statistics as far as how many Black women are getting bachelor's, doctorates, masters? But I gotta search for the Black men statistics.
Yeah.
Facts. And I was actually
thought about.
Mm-hmm. See, I was actually thinking about that too. Like, I was gonna bring that up. Right now, like in America at least, the Black woman is the only woman of any race that out earns and out educates her man, right? And that's not a problem with the Black woman, you know what I'm saying? Because Black women doing great things. They're also the largest group of entrepreneurs, by the way, right? So gotta give them a shout out for that, right? They're doing their thing. So we come from a culture of hustlers, right? You know, we Africans, not Africans, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna get it done by any means. But yeah, like you said, there's definitely like a reason to why that is, right? Or why they have like the statistics to kind of put down the man, right? And as we know, there's a history of what we've been going through, and you know what I mean, like what we've had to do to survive, and that's like definitely a way they try to break up the family, right? And some Black women, right, like if they don't know the history, they might look at, well, I got this education, I got this job, but a lot of the men in my community don't. So like a lot of times they'll be like, oh, they ain't shit or something like that, you know, but they're not, you know, yeah, you know, they got the knowledge that they learned from the universities, but they don't got knowledge of self. You know what I'm saying? They're not understanding what was done to break up the Black family and why it's important to stay together. And if she does have a leg up, try to help the man out. You know what I'm saying? Because Black men can get it done too, right? We've proven that time and time again. Same with the women, but we just got to do it together.
Yeah. And I do want to highlight, you know, and me and Kenyatta talked about this one day off the podcast. We had a whole nother podcast, not even recording it.
We should have recorded that.
We was going crazy, but we and it's great that, you know, you're on here too, Ashley. But we was talking about the dynamics of the, Black men and then Black women as well. And we was kind of going back and forth and just kind of discussing on what is going to kind of unify us. And I feel like that would be something good to put in this podcast as well. Like, what do you think, one, how do you perceive Black men, even though, everybody, we're all kings and queens and we're all beautiful, but from a woman's standpoint, how do you see Black men in our condition? And then we'll kind of talk about, like, what we see on the other side, not to be kind of like versus each other, but just kind of get, pick each other's brain.
Facts. Yeah, we building. Yep.
Well, first things first, the whole kings and queens thing makes me laugh because somebody had to build the pyramid, and it wasn't a king nor was it a queen.
No
so
cap.
I know, like, now we're using it to just give us, like, have our backup straight, give us some confidence, which is a beautiful thing. So I don't want anyone to watch this and think, oh, I shouldn't call him a king or whatever. It's a respect thing instead of just saying nigga,
Yeah, facts.
So, but there was some common folk, okay, that was getting out the mud in Africa too. And so how are Black men perceived by me? How do I perceive them?
Yeah, you could just talk for yourself. Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, it's amazing that you guys are even still here. Like, there's so much that is, like, stacked against you. Not to say that there isn't anything against me, but like I said, there's programs for me, you know what I mean? There's things in place for me to be obviously above you, you know what I mean? I still have some sort of an advantage, even though, the great Malcolm X said the most, we're like last on the list, but in all honesty, if you live in America, it's like we are, but then we aren't. Like, it's very weird. It's a very weird dynamic. And if you allow social media to dictate that, you'll start to fall into it and start to hate Black men and, all this different type of Caucasian rhetoric is what I call. But there's a lot of myths out there as far as, like, who Black men date. I actually had to go so far as to look this up, but it's a huge percentage of Black men that marry Black women.
Right, 85%.
Yes. And so you have to get into the stats of things. And instead of listening to social media or, like, looking at Kanye West or looking at those outliers, those specific individuals, think, okay, yeah, when he get on, he gonna leave you for a white girl. That's just what they do. Those type of people let me know that they don't actually interact with Black men. They don't know enough Black men. And if they do, they're around the whitewashed ones, So a lot of them are marrying Black women, but now we're going into the topic of marriage. Now they're kind of like, they're getting money now, legally. And so it's like, oh, if she leave me, now it starts to get messy. But I'd rather it get messy in that regard than to just be like, oh, they don't love us. They don't like us. They're not for us. They don't protect us. I disagree with all that.
Yeah.
That's not to say that does not happen. However, the percentage is not as high as what social media tells you if you don't do your homework.
Facts. And I think Kenyatta, he touched on that too when we were talking off the pod. He was basically talking about, the influence and the power of social media and how, if you can't buy a Birkin, then why you talking to her? If you can't do this, then what you here for? Niggas ain't shit. Just little common rhetoric that we'll see on social media. And I was kind of saying I don't want to mess that up. If you want to, clear that up, anything I said, Kenyatta. But
oh no, you right on point.
Yeah. So I was just kind of saying, like, they'll, when we look at those people who are so influenced by social media, there's still that group that knows the truth. And like you kind of got into it too, Ashley, talking about, you got to actually get into statistics and actually do your own research and see that though there are people out there that actually understand all the barriers and stuff that are there to separate us and kind of shed a negative light on each other. And I want to kind of bring this up because while you were talking, it brought something to my mind. I feel like as Black people, we've been fighting and we've always had our back against the wall. And so it's almost like we're playing tit for tat with each other. Like Black men and Black women, we're playing tit for tat, who can struggle the most or who can come up the most. Like and you said something, you said, you kind of put all that to the side when you were talking about Black men and everything that we go through, and not enough people are putting that to the side. On we're all going through something, but we need to come together and unite as one, because we're not enemies. We shouldn't be enemies. Ever should be enemies. So I like that you brought that up.
Yeah, for sure. You know, like the war going on between black men and black women, older generation versus young generation, like all that stuff that was in the Willie Lynch letter. You know what I'm saying? Like we got to cut that out, because, you know, we're always gonna be better together, right? You know, like there's an African proverb. It's like, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together, right? So I think that's where we at right now.
Yeah, definitely.
And I know, like, for black women, it's kind of difficult to, like, it's almost like, okay, let me just use the phrase, like, pick me. Like, I would be considered a pick me, right? Because I'm like, you know, all
yeah, I seen that term. I think it's like the same for like dudes that simp.
Yeah, simp.
Like pick me and simp are basically the same.
Facts.
The same, like, well, because I had a black woman that was like, because I was like, let's talk about how we can be advocates for black men when it comes to these jobs. Like, we're in it, right? A lot of black people are in government jobs, government positions, which I don't entirely agree with, but that's just me personally. But like, we can get black men in there. We're like the only way you can really get in there, unless you just know somebody, you know? And I was like, let's do that. And then someone was like, burn your cake. Why would you want to do that for black men? Would they do that for you? And it's like, they have done that for me. Like,
yeah, right.
A lot, even if you look on my Instagram, a lot of the interviews, not with black women, is with black men. So I think it's also like a mindset and just being open to the possibility at least. And I know, again, it's hard for black women because there have been a lot of us, me included, who have been affected by black men's actions, but I don't feel like that should stop you from doing your part. Like, we're supposed to work together. And if I can get a way in, then most definitely I'm gonna get, you know, I'm gonna get you guys in too.
Yeah, we talked about that on our other episode too. As black men, we need to protect black women more, you know, from other, you know, everybody, every other race, but also ourselves too, because I know that, you know, certain topics and subjects when it comes to, you know, assault, abuse, and things like that are prevalent within our community and need a light shined on them. It needs to be stopped completely. So I definitely agree with that one.
Yeah, for sure. And I kind of lost my train of thought, but I was gonna say, yeah, for sure. So like, even with like black men, like let's say like a black woman hurt me or something, you know what I'm saying? I would never judge, like, and we can call those people who do like devilish things to each other, that can be the lowest of that group. You know what I'm saying? They're like an outlier, but I would never judge a group by like the lowest. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like if I was hurt by a couple black women, but I've had black women in my life that have supported me, that have done good. Well, why would I say like all black women ain't this just because a couple of them did this to me? You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, it's just about being logical sometimes. Like, you can't take the worst of a people and represent them at the highest level, right? And we see this in the media too. I guess this could be a whole nother subject, but they do this in hip hop and the media, and that's what they show. They show the lowest of black men, the lowest of black women, and they exploit it, you know? So then we start looking up to those people and start acting in those ways, and we start, you know what I mean? Start reenacting them behaviors. And
what's the newest one? Quavo and Sweetie. That's the.
I haven't kept up on that one, but
that's the newest one, man. That's the one that everybody going crazy over.
Everyone, they put Sweetie's face on the Take Care album because she put Quavo Take Care.
Yeah. Hey, it get real funny, man. Kiana, man, you gotta keep up with some of this stuff. I
was seeing it, but I didn't like do the backstory because, like, I don't know, like there's just so many of them, like,
Nah, he part of these
memes, but
he part of the Migos, the other one that was going crazy on the other wife. So it don't even matter, man. It's just at this point it's comical, especially because sometimes these be people like people look up to, like, for real.
Yeah, like the only reason why I even got this information is because people look up to them and like share the memes and like I'm like.
They're like, this was the last one. Oh my God, like what? Not y'all glorifying.
That's been together for like 30-some years.
Exactly. Oh yeah, and I do want to say this because this popped up in my head though. I do want to appreciate Black women out there. They've been very helpful to my progress and
Facts,
getting
100.
me to where I need to go. A Black woman, my professor, Miss Johnson, sport management, she helped me get through college and put me on so much game. Miss Kazim, my social, sociology teacher, she put me up on game. She had a serious conversation with me one day and kind of put perspective on what college is like and, the other side and how they can get so far ahead. And she was like, yo, basically you got to get a master's to even try to even keep up with their lowest rank. So
Yeah.
that was a professor that kind of put that in my mind. And I forgot specifically where in Africa she was from, but she put me up on game. I'm forever grateful for that. And then Miss Johnson, she put me up on game when it comes to actually trying to develop myself professionally and get through that last year of college. So I appreciate both of them.
Yeah, big facts, right? We always gotta appreciate the Black woman,
Yeah. The only ones that be reaching out and for real helping too.
right?
Like if I see a job that I want to apply to and I can see their faces, I'm looking for, I'm looking for my people first. But if it's a Black woman there, I'm looking to her because I'm like, hey, she gonna take care of me. And I know she gonna try to get me
Facts.
right. Yeah. Yeah, she gonna take care of me. She gonna help me. Thanks.
Okay,
Yup.
so what's something that unifies us but also can create a divide? I'll go first. Mine was real simple. I was gonna say food. Like I feel like food brings us together, but like if someone don't make something right, it can definitely divide.
Facts. People get to arguing.
Yeah, it's like
Nobody want to eat their potato salad or something. You feel me?
Yeah, food. I hope nobody pulling up with the raisins in the potato salad.
I ain't never seen
I
that.
ain't never seen that.
Yeah,
I seen it on Twitter, but like I ain't never put up to the barbecue and somebody putting no raisins or something. That's
yeah,
it.
nah, I've
That's
been
the
to
way they had a Caucasian infrastructure, family structure.
yeah, no, I ain't never seen it, but I've been to a couple potlucks and work potlucks, and I've seen a lot of crazy stuff. I've seen uncooked chicken, so
Yeah.
just gonna leave it there.
Or you ever seen somebody just do the most to macaroni and cheese? Like
Oh, yeah.
macaroni and cheese got to be simple. You can't
Yeah,
add all this
Yeah,
like
make it simple and burn the top.
stuff to it. You feel me? Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Facts.
I
I
say
mean,
that's a good one. Can y'all?
yeah, that's a good one. I'd say like another one I was kind of thinking of, I guess like religion, right? Like, or like even just not even just religion, like just organizations, right? Even within like the Black community, like the Nation of Islam, right? I follow teachers Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I got my follow Elijah sweatshirt on, right? Shout out to Brother Santana, right? Conscious brand and clothing,
Clean.
Black owned business. But
Shout out to them.
yeah, like it unified people, especially like in the Nation of Islam or the UNIA. It gave people a knowledge of self. You know what I'm saying? It let people be a part of something. But then even in the conscious community, right? We banging on each other. You know what I'm saying? Like you feel me? Like it be the Moors versus the Nation of Islam, or it be the Pan Africans versus the Hebrews, and the Hebrews versus everybody. And you know what I mean? So it definitely has unified us. And I mean, like, you don't have to be a part of the groups. Like, you can just take what's good from them. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad did a lot of good things. So did Noble Drew Ali, Marcus Garvey, of course. You know what I mean? And people be hard on the Hebrews, but some of them be riding, you know what I'm saying, doing their thing. But yeah, I say that's also a big divider, because we can all want what's best for Black people until we say that we are Muslim, until we say we are Christian, or we in the 5% or we are more, then it's a problem.
Yeah, that's I was gonna say basically the same thing, man. When I first came into the conscious community, or became, I'm not gonna say woke because I'm getting tired of that word.
Yeah,
you're not gonna put that on a shirt for me and sell it to me. But when I first, kind of just came into understanding myself and who I was, and then my people, of course, listen to people like Brother Polite and people like that, and Dr. Umar, and I was watching a whole bunch of YouTube videos, but every YouTube it was each other, like we was banging on each other for no reason. Like, no, this is right, no, this is right, no, we're all right, but like, what is we for real doing? And that's why I like the honorable Marcus Garvey, because he brought everybody together. He brought everybody. It didn't matter what you look like, fell under the Pan-African movement. So that's a big thing. Religion and then what we believe in is always going to like divide us. And I still see it, like, even though that we're progressing so much and coming together, like I still see it. Like people will know what other people stand for. I see it on social media all the time. You know what a certain group will stand for. The whole time you'll meet with them, do all this stuff, and then you banging on them the next week for some views. Like,
yeah, like that
Right.
makes me sick because I always say, like, even when I like say what I gotta say on social media, I personally, I always say I don't argue with black men.
yeah,
I don't argue with black men, which I know people gonna be like, what does that even mean? But it's like we can disagree, but I'm not gonna argue with you.
exactly.
I feel like because I just am not a man. So I don't really necessarily understand. Sometimes I don't know what you know, what you've been through. I will argue with a woman, not that I want to, but like, I'm not gonna do that. Like, even me and Yatta, we were having a discussion about black families. I was kind of being like a jerk because I
Oh,
just
yeah, we
wanted to,
did.
yeah, I just wanted to see
I
like
remember.
what you knew. And I was like, well, what about this? We were talking about like if a black man were to be with a white woman, like what that is. And he was
Mhm.
talking about from his experience. Like, I personally don't want that. So I was just kind of being like, oh, okay.
Black women
Like,
only.
Yes, sir.
probing questions, just asking. And like, we were kind of disagreeing, but not really. Like, we were coming to the same consensus, but not really. But like, even in that, like, I don't know if you noticed, but like, I wasn't really like arguing with you.
Yeah,
Cause
we was
like,
just building, you know.
I just wanted
Yeah.
to like, yeah, I just wanted to pick your brain a little bit, figure out what it is that you come from. But I also feel like it's important in the conscious community because I feel like when people feel like they just know so much, they think they know everything. And then they start to condemn people for not knowing when
Facts.
there was a point in time when they didn't know. Or like they get so hyped because they know something.
Yeah,
Okay, now we're arguing. It's like you could have just put me on. You didn't have to do all that. You could have been like, here's a book, here's an article.
yeah,
But the conscious community, it's a lot of arguing that goes on. Like,
a lot.
I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, damn near like dang. Not to shit on nobody if y'all do it, but the Forex folks too, man. You know, they damn near one and the same. How much we argue, and I just be like, bro,
Right.
what are we doing? Like, you can do all that for views, you can do all that to prove somebody wrong, but what are you doing for your community, man? Like,
Yeah,
for
like,
real, like all that stuff can. I forgot who said it, but basically focus on what we got going on now. We could talk about religion and stuff later. We can talk about religion once everything is okay, once everything is right here. We can talk about religion. We could talk about our views. We could talk about how money should be spent. We could talk about all that, doing for self, all that, once our situation is straight. Because one thing I used to say, and I still believe it, religion not gonna matter if they keep killing us. Like, you worried about where you're gonna go in the afterlife and somebody is killing you. Like, let's
yeah,
stop that.
Right.
Let's teach our kids about whatever's next after we get this situation right. Like, let's teach each other. Like, and you don't have to be all knowing, because I know why people get into arguments is because, oh, I sat here and I did all this research and I looked up the books and I watched videos and I did all this and I'm just regurgitating information. These people aren't even going to the primary sources for a lot of this information too. That's another thing we gotta remember. A lot of y'all not doing y'all research, and this is gonna be said every podcast.
Right.
Do your own research.
Facts.
That's literally all you have to do. So that's where a lot of these arguments stem, and literally they're not getting us anywhere, not making us no money.
like not at
Nah.
all, not ever. And then also too, the average person reads 19 minutes a day. I always say this all the time because it's like you said, people are regurgitating. So it's like, oh, I'm glad you read the first article that you Googled, but have
Facts.
you read a book? No.
Facts.
Everything you need to know is in that book.
Facts. Or just
Right.
experience. Go out there and get some real life experience. Go help somebody. Learn a skill that help your own people instead of
Mhm.
trying to argue with somebody about something you think you know. It don't matter, bro. It matters because I'm not gonna disrespect nobody's belief system or nothing like that. But it doesn't matter. Like, we're dying. I don't, and they're coming up with meticulous ways to kill us. Like, it's not a if and or but about it, and history is gonna keep repeating itself because we want to sit and debate with each other. It's not about debating with each other, man. Even our most powerful leaders came together at certain points and fight for a common cause. So they like to do that too in school. They'll let you know that Malcolm X and MLK didn't get along, or they had two different
Yeah, they
viewpoints.
love to point that
Yeah,
out.
they love to point that out, boy, in school. They love that one. But hey, don't forget both of their main goals and their main objectives on what they were doing, regardless of which way they was going or how they felt about what situation or how things need to get done. It was all about getting Black people to be, one, respected and equality, and then also on an equal footing as the other races in this country.
Facts. Even with MLK too, I'm glad you brought that up, because like one of the things he said before he died, right? And this is like 2 years after meeting with like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and he started getting different viewpoints and he was starting to change. But he said that I fear I've integrated my people into a burning house.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And he was also really on the economics, right? You know what I'm saying? And even like powernomics, I think we mentioned that earlier, right? It's just getting that economic base, right? And you don't got to be a Hebrew, a Muslim, Pan-African, whatever. You know what I'm saying? We can all get this right now. We don't got to argue about doctrine, because at the end of the day, that's not going to build a nation for us. You know what I'm saying? That's not going to build a house for us. You feel me? Like we can have all different I guess, like, I don't know, lifestyles and points of view. But I will say the only thing we really just have to have is Black first, right? That should be like the only rule, right? You can be a Christian, whatever you want,
be the
whatever
first code.
Right, whatever you want to do on Sundays, Fridays, whatever. The one code we need to have, most important, is just Black first. Whatever you do, it's got to be to uplift Black people.
That's facts. I like that one.
Facts.
So that's all I have for y'all. Did y'all have any questions, just based off of what we were talking about?
Man, that was a good build, to be honest.
Yeah, I was like, we can get into another topic, but I don't know if y'all want to keep going. But it don't matter to me. I was just gonna get on the topic of segregation. That could be our own little another podcast.
Hey, we can do part 2.
Or we could do a part 2.
Want to do part 2?
I mean, we can keep going, keep flowing, man.
We can keep going and like chop it up.
Yeah, we're gonna see y'all in. Look,
you
commercial.
got the pro. You must have the pro Zoom.
What happened?
I think you must have the pro Zoom where you can go for like however long.
Nah, it might cut out, but it's okay.
Yeah. Well, I know it said you extended it to unlimited minutes.
Oh, for real?
Unlimited.
Yeah, it said the host made it unlimited.
Upgraded.
Yep.
Oh, I'm tough. Oh yeah, that was a gift. They gave me a gift. Bet. Let's go.
Okay. So then, yeah, we can do
Bet.
that.
So
let's keep building.
I wanted to talk about segregation. It's a big topic that's coming back up. I've seen it a couple places, like on Twitter. But I wanted to know what everybody else feel like. Like, was segregation the right thing? How y'all feel about
you mean
integration? Integration. My fault. Yeah, was integration the right thing, or should we still stay segregated? There's evidence for both, but how do y'all feel about it?
Man, I mean, Are you can go first.
Yeah, let Ashley go.
Let her go
I
first.
think it should be like, I'm gonna use the Asian community. The only reason why I use them in particular is because they have, I don't know if you guys know about the minority complex theory, whatever, like ideal minority.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're definitely first in running for that one, huh?
Yeah, like from what I was reading, like there was like articles where it's like they're the ideal minority and ideal minority theory, and like it's like you still oppressed, bro.
Yeah, we know.
Right.
We know.
So like even with that theory, right? So it's like they're here, but they separate themselves. They have Chinatown, Koreatown, but they're here.
Mm-hmm.
Like giving us services, like Black people in particular. They have beauty shops. So it's like
liquor stores.
Like they're not necessarily integrated, but they're also not necessarily segregated, if that makes any sense. So like I feel like we should first segregate ourselves and then figure out a way where we can kind of master that, where we have businesses in other like suburban areas or whatever, like we're doing the same thing. We have our soul town or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, Soul Town.
Facts. Soul Town. I ain't heard.
I like Soul Town. I like Soul Town.
No. Hey man, hey, if y'all listening, right? We gotta build Soul Town.
Copyright.
Yeah, copyright that. Look,
for real.
Ashley came up with that, but hit up Ashley, Kenyatta, and Sam. We gonna put it together a Soul Town. Yeah,
Facts,
hit Ashley up first because she said it first.
Facts. That was a good one. I ain't never heard that. Yeah. That's a good one.
I like that one.
But facts. But my take on it, right? So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad always taught us that separation is the only solution, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what that means, when people hear about separation, they want to think of like white separatism, but it's
Yeah.
not even that. It's just literally having our own. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard to get along with people when there's like a power structure. Like
Mm-hmm.
let's say we live in the same community, we live in the same neighborhood, but you own everything in the neighborhood and I don't own anything, right? That's not fair.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's gonna create problems, you know. So it's literally like just having our own side of town. Like you explained the Chinatown, and even the Italians, and there's Little Italy,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Little
Little
Italy.
Tokyo, Jewtown. There's even little like
Not
Latino
Jewtown.
communities popping up. I don't know
They
what it's called, you know, but
they don't
No, you
actually
said.
have like a name, but
Mhm.
they have like little communities.
Yeah, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
everybody got their section, right? But you go to Black folks section, and all of those people own all the businesses in our communities. Well, we might own a couple, stores here and there, but we don't have like the basics, like the property, right? Even like some of the clinics, you go into some of their communities, they own the clinics, they own the
Yeah.
grocery stores, the clinics, and the property. Those are like the three main like things we need in our communities, right?
Yeah, like
Because
they have private practices, and you're like,
right.
okay.
Right, because like when we talked about Marcus Garvey earlier, and he said like any leadership that teaches you to depend on another race is a leadership that will enslave you.
Crazy.
If I have to get my food, clothing, and shelter from somebody else, they might not give it to me one time. Then what now? Am I gonna starve? Am I gonna
And,
sleep outside? You feel me? Like we must have a piece of this land for ourselves.
yeah, and I ain't want to cut you off, but
Yeah.
literally that's literally how it works to be able to survive. And I don't want nobody to think like this is crazy to think about, like, oh, what are they talking about? But literally, like, the US does the same thing to survive. We are in every
Right.
country, troops are in every country
Yeah.
to let folks know that, yo, any resources that we need, we're here to get. Oil, we're here to get the oil. You're not shutting nothing down. Yeah, we got our own reserves, but we gonna be in your section, in your country. We're gonna make sure that you know that if anything happens, we're gonna need this oil. You might boost it up a couple dollars, whatever, but we gonna get it. And our community needs to think the same way, man. Like Ashley said, a little Soul Town or something. That's all it takes.
Yeah, I
And,
like that, man. It's
yeah,
old time.
yeah, I like that. And I know there's issues when it comes to, starting up your own business and actually having an actual storefront, like, in certain communities, and where we can get them in, because it's difficult to get approved for business loans as Black people. It's difficult for us to get any loan, really.
Home ownership.
Yeah, home ownership, like, they made it so hard to even get a one up in this country. So taking advantage of online, I think that's the next big thing. And I know a lot of people are shifting to just being online with damn near everything that they have. I know I follow We Buy Black. Kenyatta follows We Buy Black. But they offer a lot of stuff, stuff that we can go to immediately that can just be small changes. And I don't think people really understand, like, just small changes when it comes to buying products and consuming things. Like, it doesn't have to be, oh, everything I buy is Black, but like Kenyatta said earlier, it needs to be Black first. And I think that's another thing when it comes to segregating ourselves. You know, a relationship can't be healed if the person that's been negative the whole time in a relationship and you still around them every day. You got to take time for yourself. You got to space out. You got to rebuild yourself. You got to improve yourself. And that's something that we need to do. Not probably, that we need
Right.
to do. We need to get to that space where we take time, where we can look, the Black man and the Black woman can look each other in the eyes, and we build ourselves. We don't know what could come out of a soul town, so to say. Maybe a whole community is built around the Soul Town block. There's just a block of Black-owned businesses, and now there's a whole community of Black people around this one business that we all shop at, we all go to, and support. And I know in Georgia, they're doing something. There was a group of Black people that bought, I think a county, either a
Yeah,
little, I
I,
think a
I was
city.
thinking that as he was talking, a
Yeah,
whole
yeah, yeah.
little town. Yep.
Yeah, a whole little town. And I know they still got to develop it and put houses on it, but they're being smart about who they let into the community and who they want to be their neighbors, because they're not just letting everybody in. Everybody can't be a part of this. And I think that's good, because they're starting off small, like, and then they'll work their way up and expand. So you got to be put on a little wait list, all types of stuff for that. But that's one thing that I like to see already. Like, I thought that was amazing. I don't know when they're gonna be done with that, but I thought that was amazing.
For sure.